All right, y'all. This week we're going to be building these window frames to protect this decorative glass from being pushed on here in a local bar. Let's go. So like many projects, we start at the plasma table. Nah, just kidding. But we do need a flat surface to work on to lay this out. So I'm gonna spend a little bit of time cleaning up the workbench. We call that dressing the table. And then I'll go over to a sketch the customer provided that has the look they want, but no dimensions. That's all left up to me. We're gonna cut up this square tube here. It's all 3/4 inch square tube, 16 gauge wall. And I'm gonna be using a tried and true method here to make this frame. We're doing notches. Cut it at the bandsaw, 2 cuts, everything goes together, and you have a comfortable amount of play to put it together. You're also not welding onto a cut face when you do the corners, or I guess I should say a mitered face when you do the corners. That mitered face would be a much thinner piece of metal to weld, more likely to melt away. I just like this method more. It's a personal preference thing. With those fireball squares, we've got everything clamped up. You know, I can count on those to be a square reference. And we'll just go around. My standard approach is 3 tacks on each corner, and then I like to weld the outsides, and that frame's locked together. It's not gonna move, so I can take it out of the clamps and finish welding out all the joints. After welding the outside, I like to go back and weld the inside of the corners, because then it's really locked together. Now for this first one, everything needs to get ground nice and smooth so that we can use that as a reference to build the second piece instead of having to go through the time to put it all in clamps again. Here we're doing that. You just match all the pieces up, tack those joints closed, and you can see we even got some gaps there, especially on the lower left, and that's all right for 3/4 inch square wall. You're gonna be able to fill that gap, and once you grind it out, you don't even know it's welded, so it looks fine. Now with the pieces aligned, I'm gonna start taking actual measurements. I could have went back to the drawings I made and done it that way, but I much prefer to get actual measurements. If you're off by a 1/16 of an inch in the final product, it's not gonna matter for something like this, but if you're off by a 1/16 of an inch while you're assembling, those errors will start to compound and stack up. And even though it shouldn't show in your finished product, it's gonna make assembly much more difficult. Now I know I'm gonna get some comments about what I'm doing here, tacking without a helmet on. You guys can see I'm fully covering the weld with my glove, so there's no light coming back at my face. You can see on my face that when I'm in a situation where I can't, completely cover the weld, I'm turning away. It's not enough just to close your eyes. We're doing that tacking because going up and down with your helmet is just gonna slow you down too much when you're trying to assemble something like this. I consider it safe. If you disagree, let me know in the comments. And now it's just a matter of welding all the little corners. What I'm doing here is welding the show face and all the inside joints, but I'm not welding the backs. I'm welding 3 sides of every joint. And the reason I'm doing that is twofold. 1, this is inside, so we're not worried about rust. And 2, that's gonna still give us just a little bit of flexibility. This is 16 gauge wall, it's not very heavy, and we start putting a bunch of weld in, you're gonna start warping things, and I want a little bit of flex so I can make this fit perfectly. Oh, I gotta do it all over again. I gotta weld it again, to grind it again. If only the work was as easy as that edit. If only, right? So we're gonna grind the backs just to get rid of any spatter and clean them up, and then get ready to put the mounting plate on. Again, we're going to actual measurements. I'm not going off my plans. Taking some of this 1/8 by 2 inch flat bar. And for those of you that don't know, flat bar is coiled at the mill, so it's not perfectly flat. And you really have to pay attention to that and make sure that, the way you're jigging things up, it will flatten out. Now we put a couple tacks. I like to put a tack at the beginning and the end of where I'm going to do these stitch welds. And you can see there, we're leaving about 1.25 inches overlapping. And I'm not laying in hot with these welds. You can see they're not a perfect fillet. We're not trying to add any more heat than we need to. This is going to be more than structurally sound, more than safe. Nobody's ever going to break it. You have to rip it out of the door first. A little bit of grinding, a little bit of cleanup, and then I weld the backs as well, just so that bar right there is real nice and stiff and assembled correctly. Then we're over to install. These were sent out for powder coat, and this is part 2 of a big project, so the screws are actually going to get replaced because we didn't get them in time. We're going to have powder coated screws that'll match, so this is just a temp installation. But we've got 2 of these on the push side of these 2 doors that have a decorative glass panel. And there it is, guys. I'm pretty happy with the way it turned out. Alright, y'all, I hope you enjoyed that build. If you did, hit subscribe. If you want to find out a little bit more information on how you bid a project like this, hit right here for Patreon, and of course, 2 videos YouTube thinks you might like. Until next time, thanks for stopping by.